This is Beats, Rhymes and Life podcast. I'm Shakira.
I'm Ash.
The one and only Riz.
And this is episode 10.
We made it, guys, to
and we're drinking.
Yeah, to celebrate. Because I was rather upset that I missed the last episode and I didn't get no rum.
He was so mad at me.
I was vexed. I was ready to defriend Shax, you know.
He was mad at me. So I've brought rum to, try and make it up to him.
Yeah, the festivities will begin.
I'm good, but you can't blame Riz for what he says.
No, man, we're going to keep it nice and mellow. This Appleton, so like I said, we should be able to make it through safely without no speed bumps.
That's a rock, yeah.
Yeah, as long as there's no Ciroc, we should be good.
On Riz's birthday episode, we're going to have Ciroc.
Huh? What's that?
Who said that?
We're missing a member. Well, I wouldn't say missing. She should be here at some point.
Yeah, should be here later.
But there's a few things obviously we wanted to touch on today. For the entire time we've been doing this podcast, there's been an underwhelming, underlying discussion that we've been wanting to have, and I think today, seeing that it is our 10th episode, would be a perfect opportunity. But we're not getting into that yet. We've got a few other things that we wanted to discuss with you guys.
Riz keeps telling me that he needs to address certain things with me on the podcast, so I'm guessing that's going to happen today. So.
Yes, you're flipping fucking men are trash tweets. All this bullshit. And what was the picture? No. You can't even talk yet. The picture the other day when it was like a pie chart, and it had two colours in it. And it was like, what was it? Like, how often do men lie or something?
No, when do men ever tell the truth?
Yeah,
do men ever tell the truth?
It was like 85%.
85% green, no. And then 15% no as well. But the red was like...
No in red.
Yeah, no in red. So apparently we lie all the time.
Yes, I think that is. Men are always lying. Like, actually, even if they accidentally tell you the truth, I promise you they thought it was a lie. Like, as they said it, they thought it was a lie. Men are actually always lying.
I had an interesting conversation with someone that will remain nameless in regards to the whole why can't men, like in the instance, so we're going to kind of elaborate on one specific part that obviously rubs women up the wrong way, which is like why men lie about their intentions long term with a female. So she was basically explaining to me that realistically women would respect men more if they just let them know what it was from the jump. And obviously my retort to that, being a man, obviously, well, we have an unexpected visitor.
That might be Gabby.
It might be Gabby already, top one.
But yeah, women just ain't prepared for the truth. That's my...
Yeah. You want the truth?
You can't handle the truth.
Here's the actual issue. Men feel like if they're honest with you, they should be rewarded, because it happens so infrequently. So they think that when they actually give you a truth, they feel like they should be praised and you've got to big them up. I.e., if a man says, I just want to smash, regardless of if the woman just wants to smash or not, he feels like he needs to be rewarded with pussy because he actually told some truth. And that's just not how life works. Like, life doesn't work like that. Yes, somebody can respect you for telling the truth, but they don't just have to then switch their truth to your truth because you were honest. No, men. Just start telling your truth naturally. Oh, you can't. I forgot. My bad. Oh.
Wow.
What did I walk into?
Morning, guys.
Hi, everyone.
All right.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thanks for allowing me to be late.
No,
that's
fine.
okay.
On purpose.
Yeah.
You never guess that I just woke up like early. Like no qualms. You know how annoyed I am? All week I've been fighting to go to work. And I woke up early today.
Sometimes it just shows how this isn't really work.
It bees like that sometimes,
I'm telling you.
But yeah, no, like, I'm not really here for this whole, like, my thing is, as a man, like, I look at it in one way. Like, say for instance, like, you're cooking and sometimes when something isn't up to your usual standards, like, say for instance,
You need to tread carefully.
No,
here.
I'm not. Do you
a
know
lot
what it
of
is?
balls
Yeah.
around.
I'm sorry, what's the topic? I'm
There's
really
a lot
sorry.
of
Men lying.
why are men always lying?
Yeah. So
Let's not ask Abby about
Why are
this.
men always lying?
I see the look on her face.
I look at it like this. Yeah. There's only one woman in this world that I can feel that I can be 100% truthful and not dress it up with in any type of way. In terms of, there's a difference between lying.
My face right now.
No, like in terms of like my mum, the relationship that I have with my mum. Like if my mum asks me, does this taste nice? No, if it doesn't taste right, I'll let her know. No, it's too salty or this, that, or whatever the case may be. But
So you wouldn't do that with a significant other?
you get to that point in terms of over time. It's not something that initially when
Isn't
you
it?
no,
Maybe
I'm just
too
saying.
blunt.
If I make
No, I'm
something
just
and
saying.
it
I'm
doesn't
speaking
taste
like
good,
I
the fuck, tell
say
me.
that in a nutshell.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I
Got me
say.
making dinner for you and this shit this whole time.
Wait, let me finish first.
I'm gonna
They're
keep making you
boxing
that
off
every
bully
day,
beef.
and you're not gonna like
Finish
it. The
first.
fuck?
All right,
Me personally, like I am also very blunt. Ash, you can support me in that statement.
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part, I'm
you
I'm
like
talking
to do
about generally in terms of like I am only one man, innit? Like I can't speak for the rest of men. Like I'm not a representative of the male foundation, innit? But you have to understand where sometimes it doesn't come from a hurtful place or wanting to hurt.
It's not about.
Sometimes
it's not about
I just
whether
don't-
it's hurtful. It's just like stop lying.
Sometimes I actually don't think they even
really
think about
lying,
it.
though?
I think that it's always lying. It's actually always lying. And what
Alright,
it is,
say
it's
for
like,
instance, if
sometimes,
someone
Cats has a real agenda here. You know?
sometimes, it's just like I actually I've started to believe that it takes more effort for men to tell the truth than it does for them to lie.
Yeah, it does.
The lie actually comes more naturally. They just like you can ask a nigga his name and he'll be
He doesn't even There's no It's straight. This is my name.
Man.
Like, I'm just saying, you guys asked me about it, and I stand by it. Men are actually always lying, and when you catch them in the
Bullshit.
lie, what happens is they start to tell you how it's actually your fault when
Yeah.
they told the lie because no nigga, you lied and there was no need for it.
Well, I don't know. I can't say all. I would say that I've only encountered more lies than none. I would say out of all. So I won't say all. So let's say.
And I'm not even just talking about men that you're in like a romantic affiliation with, yeah. I'm just talking generally men lie an awful
I
lot.
don't feel that's the
I don't
Men
feel
lie
that's
not
the
to
case.
each other probably.
Don't get me wrong, I know of guys that would probably be deemed as like compulsive liars. It's just natural, but at the
there's a
same time,
difference. There's a
there's
difference.
a lot
I'm not
of
even
women
talking
that are
about-
just the same or
I'm not
more.
talking about the big
So I don't feel
lies
like
that matter.
there's no. I know you're talking about the little lies, like the little white lies,
That is
the
like,
things that
why
aren't
did
even
you
bothered.
why did you even lie?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
did you
yeah.
have for breakfast this morning? And you'll give two different answers
Like,
to
why
different
are you
people.
lying?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
tell the truth.
Yeah.
But to me, that makes your whole statement
what's
kind
more
of waste.
frustrating? What's more frustrating for me?
Yeah.
is when I didn't even ask you shit. Like you've just offered me a lie.
Yeah, I was
for
just
no
at
apparent
the
reason.
bar with so and so
Like,
Friday.
Why have you
One, yeah.
decided to come? Like I was minding my own business, and you have offered me information that is actually
I have a number of issues.
inaccurate, and
Is this deemed
it's
inaccurate
intentionally
in a court of law,
deceitful.
or-
No, it's intentionally deceitful.
And how
So-
do you come about finding?
Because
Yeah,
I,
finding out the truth
Because
of
I'm
this
Shakira.
information.
No, but in terms of if
and
it,
also,
if
Does this mean
no,
I'm
wait,
Shakira
sorry,
and will stalk you?
sorry, wait, no, it's not even that. Men, not only do they always lie, they lie badly. Like the lie doesn't even make sense anymore,
To be
and
fair,
you're still telling it.
Women are a lot better at lying than
Like,
men.
Oh, 100%.
oh yeah,
100%. 100%.
Even when people
Professionals.
like women
We are
lie too. I
professionals.
don't care. I don't know why you're telling me. I don't care. So what? Like I'm talking about men,
I'm
innit?
just saying, I might not have the following Shakira has, but I'm rolling with this whole women are trash movement since Shakira pushes the men.
Stop trying to make women
aren't
trash.
trash.
Thing.
Women aren't
If
trash.
men are trash, women
Stop
are trash too.
making. No, stop trying to make it a
So I'm rolling
Women
with
aren't
it.
trash.
I'm not.
There might be a small minority, but they're not. As you
There's
can't.
also a small
You
minority,
can't
yeah.
generalize and call us
Man.
trash.
Can't generalize. and
You
call men
can
trash
with
either.
men. With men, it's easy.
No, do you know what it is?
Do you
yeah?
see this?
Also,
Double
I'd
standard.
like to say
You know
something
what?
though.
I feel
When
like
I
this is
say
battling
men
the
are
sexes
trash,
today, man.
there's no all at the beginning. Yes, I know there are some men that aren't trash. I have a dad, and
A small
he is
percentage.
but men are
Pizza,
trash.
much.
Yes.
In general,
Men are definitely
just by default.
If I could, like, I can't. If I could get into some of the stories that I have encountered personally, and I've seen
Listen.
through, like there's no comparison. Some of the things, like
There is
when you
no
say
comparison.
men are trash, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's kind of selfish of us as human beings to believe that one person is for us for the entire. That's just my view, innit? So
I feel like this is a whole other discussion that we need to have.
Riz is
at a
going
different-
left again.
We need to have this discussion at a different time.
Let's not go into that. But the point you're making about the story,
Also, the men are
is
trash
we
thing is
all
not,
have
it's not necessarily
stories.
to do with personal
no, but
experiences.
men is trash just generally boils down to one element, that men are deceitful in regards
No.
to other women,
No.
and what their intentions are with
No.
the specific women that
No.
is in like. If
When I
I'm
say men
coming
are trash, that's not what I'm talking about.
if I'm coming to you,
Shakira means it literally.
if I'm coming to you,
I'm not talking about romantic things and things like that when I say men are trash.
So explain to us what you mean.
When men are trash is more to do with, like, if you want to talk about why the men are trash thing actually started, it was to do with patriarchy. It was
Okay.
to do with patriarchy and enabling patriarchy.
Yeah.
It also was to do with enabling rape culture, abusive culture and things like that, and the things that allow those things to exist in society. Yes, people do use it, and it's used flippantly and jokingly in terms of romantic situations, but that isn't the core behind it.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, yes, when you want to discuss things like patriarchy and things like that, the men are trash label probably isn't the best way to do it. But that is how it began, and that is what it's
Satire.
about, and it's to do with rape culture, and it's to do with patriarchy and things like that. So, and when I say men are trash, it's not to do with being deceitful. That's when I say men are always lying. Like, I have the two separate statements for different reasons. Do you get what I mean? But I can't speak for anyone. I can only speak for myself.
That's it.
Thanks for that, Shakira. So that brings us to our next topic.
do you know what it is? That was a nice conclusion, because
That was
I
actually a
feel
good
there was a
conclusion.
bit of confusion in the room because I didn't necessarily.
No, I knew it
separate
came
You
from a
gotta ask.
serious.
You gotta
I
ask
knew
these
it came from a
questions,
serious
man.
point, but as usual with Twitter and the internet, everything turns
Yeah.
into a joke.
To me, like, I'm not
like
gonna
one
lie,
running
I
with it.
see the men are trash, and then I just kind of like my eyes turn like.
Fair enough.
It doesn't trigger. me. It's just funny.
It does.
I
for a
don't
lot of
see
people.
like.
Yeah.
I see men are trash, and then I just ignore the rest of what's written underneath
fair
it.
enough.
So it's
That happens
like,
a lot.
But do you know what? This goes in line with what we can talk about with power, because even though Shakira doesn't talk about power, we were talking about it before you got here, but we weren't recording anyway. But the power finale, what's people's thoughts on it? I've got mine, but what you
I
lot
knew
saying?
I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah, it was predictable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I definitely knew that Tasha would take the fall for her son. But
needs to
the
go
the
down.
first thing I thought when I watched the episode after the daughter died, I was like, are they?
Nobody cares.
Was that your brethren that
Yeah.
died, or was that your daughter?
Yeah.
there was no
you didn't
tears.
bring that child
None
up
at
for
all.
however many years.
Where was
No,
the mama at?
my first thing was why is she wearing a wig? 'Cause how are you gonna find time to even, or like, how are you gonna even care about your appearance to go and look for your wig and put it on? To be honest, so that
There's
was
a lot
one
of
thing.
holes in that
As in, like, I don't know why the parents were just not acting like parents. They were acting like one of their part of their gang died.
I was saying earlier that the only one I can understand more is Ghost, because Ghost is obviously a bit of a sociopath. Like, so for him,
No, it's not, because when it comes to Angie, he wants to be all Mr. Lover man. But when your daughter dies, where's your emotion, babes?
I wasn't finished.
Sorry. Sorry. It really gets me riled up.
I hadn't noticed. The point I was making with him is that once something like that happens, it seems like you can't separate that between family or friend or business or whatever it is. At the end of the day, someone close to him's died. So all he's thinking is, I'm going to kill whoever's responsible, for one. And two, he thought it was entirely his fault because he thought it was the Jimenez Carter, which obviously...
Well, it is indirectly his fault anyway.
Everything's God's fault.
It's all his fault.
Yeah, if you want to loop it all back round and how to Tariq first got into that, and yeah, fine, but directly it's not his fault.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. Like, this season was like, it was how many episodes? 10.
10.
Like, we could have just pretty much got straight here. Like, I feel the whole fourth season was pretty irrelevant. Like, we're only just starting. In my eyes, we're starting the fourth
It
season
was
now.
a build up to 3 points. it was to Ghost getting out of jail, Tommy actually really running with this syndicate that they're working with and trying to expand and stuff. And then it leads to the third point of Kanan coming back and like them being a crew again.
Yeah.
And that's all it is really.
Well, I think
where they could have cut all it out, and Dre should be dead by now.
He's not gonna die. He's not gonna die because they like Rotimi. He's not gonna die.
My thing with Dre,
Man.
people obviously.
Fuck that dude.
I don't have any untoward feelings. Like, obviously, it's a very cutthroat world that they live in, innit?
Yeah.
And in order to make it to the top, sometimes like heads have to roll, innit? And he's the only one that's had his eye on the ball. So for me, let him go true, innit? Like, in terms of yes,
man, he's snaking
as much as he's
man.
been a snake here, like everyone else, if they was focusing on what they should have been focusing on, they would have clocked his moves from the jump.
Nah.
Because he hasn't been
you know
discreet
what?
about
I don't
it.
endorse that.
I think Tommy has known the whole time. Tommy's been on his case, but he didn't have enough proof.
Yeah.
And he was getting into certain
smokes
positions.
too much cocaine,
He
bruv.
does. But you know what? He was cool before he went off on it recently. But the thing that bothered me was he knew he couldn't trust him, but he still made the stupid move in making him distro when Julio was killed. Like,
So what do you
That was a whole. That was rushed because it's
of
like,
course it was Rush.
why is he even part of some like? For instance, why is Dre at the meeting with Ghost and what's that?
Tate.
That smooth talking brother in the
Do you know
suit?
what? Him, he's got to get it the next season too. And the thing,
I'm not gonna lie, I
I
like
didn't
his
get
style
that.
still.
I didn't get that. So can you explain to me when he was like, so like I did you a favor? Can you do this
Right,
guy
so
a favor?
basically,
He's a
Ghost's
king.
contract with Stern. The deal they had, it's a minority partnership.
Yeah, I
policy,
got that
basically, all of
part.
that.
Yeah.
But the way it was is that Stern basically gets like 60
Yeah.
or 70% of the money when it's supposed to be a 51, 49%.
Yeah, so I got that part.
So he did that. So obviously he brought it up in the meeting and got him the P. And then after that, he was like, okay, look, I did you this favor. Now you need to start paying my guy.
Yeah.
Because you realise, I think it's during the interview or just after, that he goes across the road and talks
Yeah.
to the guy and daps him up.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so he was obviously in the hood. So to me...
He didn't
I
say
think
paying though.
Basically,
He didn't say pay.
I think
per se,
basically
but
that
that's what he
it's a corner, innit? Like
It's a corner. It's going to be his
it's gonna
block
be
or
his block.
people's
So
or something.
whether or not it's paying cash
So
or
you're
paying with product, there's gonna be
Yeah.
some exchange.
He's going to be a character in season 5.
So you're saying this guy that Tate, whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
real name's Lorenz Tate, even though this is...
So Tate is actually out in the streets,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he's in the drugs in the drugs industry.
He's in it, 100%. The way he spoke to him and the way he looked at him, and then when they were trying to do the funeral arrangements,
He was
and
like,
look,
you gonna
this
take
is what
this,
you're gonna do.
You gonna take this
But he
service.
doesn't know Ghost is about that life, does he?
He would have. For my.
That's what I'm saying. There's not enough.
I
There's
think he
not
would
enough.
have been
aware of
There
Ghost.
was, I think he would have been aware, but there was one point specifically when he was talking about cleaning up the hood and stuff, and so they could get the development done. And Ghost is like, I had a word with a few people, I know so and so. And to me personally, watching that says like, okay, you're either in this life or you're about it, so you can get shit done. And I think that's enough for him to know, which is why he stepped in the way he did on both occasions.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
and
I
let's
just
not forget, Lorenz Tate was Old Dog in Menace to Society. Like,
So
he's
has
still
it in
carrying that.
I don't know. I just took that whole thing as this is someone that wants to get off the streets. Can you put him in your Can you put him to work as a normal work? That's me and my naive self, isn't it?
It's definitely
Yeah.
there's definitely some underworld shit
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. It's gonna pop off in season 5.
To be honest, I like Power. Like I said before, Power. I don't wait for it to come on. I always just catch up at a later date. And but Game of Thrones has been my life. I can't believe you lot don't watch it.
I don't think we can have the
Need to
Game of
get your
Thrones
lives
conversation
together.
in this room. I'm with it, but I don't.
Do you
think we
watch
can
it?
have Yeah, of course I watch. Game
Why
of
not? Why can't you? Don't think we can have this
I don't really
conversation?
fuck with TV like that, to be honest.
It's not on TV. I don't watch it on TV. I watch
but
it as
generally,
you watch.
I've never like movies and TV or something that I generally don't really care for.
Riz only watches Car Crash TV and some other guilty pleasure TV. He doesn't watch it.
I don't really watch.
Fair enough.
I'm not gonna.
One
lie,
day we will have this conversation.
I stand
We will.
for. I'm not gonna lie. I lived that. Do you know what it is? Yeah. You know when you've been single for so long, and
No.
I don't expect anything.
It's fishing, guys. It's fishing.
However, like when I would do my numerous visitations around
Wow.
Wow.
Interesting verdict.
Wow, Riz.
Yeah, like girls would be watching Car Crash TV and it kind of like
It rubbed off on you.
for me. So yeah, like it's not through like me sitting down and wanting to watch Love and Hip Hop. No, I'd go to a girl's house. She'd be watching.
Well, so if one of your exploits were watching Game of
not
Thrones,
Exploits. No,
I don't know
jeez.
what.
I'm trolling
If
you.
girl A or girl B,
We're watching Game of Thrones. Would you would have been into it then? Yes, you
do you
would
know
have.
what it was?
There's
yeah?
no question.
I can't say yes or no definitively on that because generally I have a very short attention span.
Okay.
So the reason why I can't.
That's hard to believe, if you, Mr. Rain Man, with all
No.
your memory.
No.
I know, calendar man, innit?
Do you know what I
I'm
mean?
a very
Remembers
complex
everything.
guy, man. Just let me land. No, I don't really have like the only series over the years that I've watched from beginning to end is The Wire, and for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I
It's
missed that.
relatable.
The other day I thought
It's
about it and I
relatable
missed
to
it.
like.
Yeah, I actually need to rewatch it. I haven't watched it yet.
It's the only series that I watched from beginning to end, and again, it was like I literally had to get a DVD player put
if you
in
had to
my car
recommend the series for
specifically
someone to watch,
so I could watch it on the way to work.
and you'd guarantee that most people would like it, what would it be?
If you what? Sorry, say that
That
again.
most people would like it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I do think most people will watch The Wire. There's another show that's similar, but it's a
But The
cop
Wire
side.
is not for everybody.
The Wire's not fair, but The Shield.
For mine,
It gets quite
I
deep.
love
The Shield is one
For
of the
mine,
best
it would probably
programs I've
be
ever seen.
The Sopranos. I
The
love
Sopranos is sick, but The Sopranos got quite
very-
deep and
yeah,
weird for a while as well. I don't think it's as accessible.
Do you know
as
one
some other
series
shows.
that I did initially start watching, but I lost track? House.
House is
I
sick.
loved House.
Is
I watched
8
the-
seasons.
I did,
of some
but
of
I
the
didn't
best
watch it in,
TV
like-
you'll ever see.
I loved
You're not
House.
if you like spend a couple months working your way through House, you won't view TV series in the same way again.
I loved House. I
Like,
thought House was perfect. To be honest.
I just
House
never
is
watched it in
unreal.
consecutive order.
Yeah,
I never.
Caught it
It just
episodes when it
whenever it was
was
on, I'd
House
watch
was
it.
brilliant.
it's
though.
worth watching it all the way through. House is sick.
I just don't spend that much time in my house, to be honest.
We
with you.
know.
I've got
well,
a tablet.
opposite
so-
of me.
To make
I watch a
any-
lot
I
of
like
stuff on
sci-fi. I
TV.
like a lot of
I don't-
sci-fi
I don't
fantasy.
really
3
watch-
episodes a day of shit.
I don't really watch much anymore, to be honest. But when
Yeah.
I did watch series,
Fair enough.
The Night Of was good. Did anyone ever watch that?
Do you know what? After Joe slaughtered it on the podcast, I didn't really.
I didn't think he
Joey's
slaughtered
He
always-
it.
didn't slaughter it. No, they
watching
started
bloody
well, and then at the
series,
end they was
boy.
like, "This is some bullshit."
Oh no, he only said it was bullshit because of how it turned out.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I'm gonna watch it at some point.
No, The Night Of is
actually
good.
addicted
If you've
to
got Now
TV
TV, watch it.
I don't know.
I'll
how to.
bootleg
There's so
everything.
like obviously in our group here we've got like some serious like TV heads like
Yeah.
and if you see like some of that I don't know how like there's Breaking Bad. Like,
Oh, I
haven't
love Breaking
watched.
Bad. You haven't watched Breaking Bad?
I've never watched Breaking Bad.
I've not
Breaking
watched
Bad
one.
was-
Do you know what? I put it off for a long
I haven't
time.
even finished Narcos season 1. Like,
I haven't finished Narcos
I got
season
bored
2.
of Narcos.
So
You
did
know,
I.
I read the books
Yeah,
about
yeah,
Pablo
yeah,
Escobar and all that. So all of the stuff that they're showing, I
You
know
already know,
pretty much
yeah.
all of
I
it
felt
anyway.
like one season
Suits,
would
I
have
was sad
like
that-
been
I was
fine.
sad that I stopped watching Suits, but I just felt like it wasn't.
Do you know what? Suits is actually
Still
really
watch
entertaining.
Suits. I
I'm
still
not
watch
even gonna
Suits,
lie.
but it's the same thing every day.
I got. It's like I fell off with Suits, and then I felt like, am I really missing anything? I probably know what's happening. Like,
Probably there's not much
Like-
developing.
yeah, there's not much development with Suits.
Anyone started watching Ozark?
Not yet. I've
I'm
had
not
mixed
gonna lie,
opinions.
it's on the list, yeah, but I know I'm never gonna get there.
Listen,
There are so many things that people like watch this and I'm like, yeah.
just when you got time, guys. When you got time. As you can
But-
tell, I do not have a social life. I stay home and
I
watch
don't
these
have a
things.
social life.
I don't have a social life.
Work, nigga, work.
This is.
Oh, I do have a job, but you know.
I
No,
don't
but
have
all
a.
he does is work now.
Riz actually works like all of his life away.
I'm trying to make it out.
I don't really. I just spend my spare time listening to music and tweeting. To be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Well, we know you're on the tweets out here in these Twitter streets.
yeah, pretty much the same for me, man.
But listen, now I guess now
Ask you
we've
something
like
actually.
covered a lot
Oh
of stuff.
God.
I think this conversation might get a little bit heated. Our discussion
moving on now?
for episode
We're gonna
10,
need
because it's
a
going to
minute.
take episode
Have you guys
10,
read it?
and as Riz said earlier, there's been underlying themes alluding to this conversation and stuff, and people won't
There's
be happy
two
and will be happy.
conversations, but I think we can
The
kind of
second one, I feel like we're not having it yet, though, are we?
If we got time for it,
I'm
we can
going
going
throw it
to.
in.
Can y'all
I'm coming
enlighten
for
me?
someone's neck today. Just try and know that. Like when certain names are being mentioned, I came.
But you've got to realise that it's all subjective.
It is subjective, but it
And-
doesn't stop me getting my visa.
Yeah, there's gonna be a debate.
I just
regardless.
like to remind people that there are bottles in the room, so if it gets messy,
And I haven't had anything to drink. So
I
it'll
meant
get
ones that I
messy
could smash
between
over
us.
as a cake
Oh,
because I
okay,
know
That's
shut
why
up then.
she's saying it. Do you know what? You
need
love
to sit
you
here
love
then,
this bottle
Shakira.
threat, like.
Sit here next
I
to
am.
him.
No, stay over there, man.
I'm close enough, though.
Is you
I'm
pack-
actually close enough.
Okay, cool,
gonna
that's fine.
get-
You know what, yeah, when I used to rave and stuff, that was my favourite. Like, when guys were chatting shit, I'm
Oh,
like, I'm gonna
boy.
fucking glass you, because we weren't allowed bottles, were we?
Yeah.
So it's, I'm gonna fucking glass you. Like,
Wow.
I was hurt, but, you know. But no, I've been threatening to bottle people for a very long time.
Yeah, that seems to be a common threat of you.
Although, I almost once got bottled, by the way. This guy, he was crazy, by the way. He was motherfucking crazy. He started an argument with me. He was a friend
funny
of some
story.
friends, yeah. And we were outside a club that wasn't letting people in. It was my girls' rave, and then we were sat outside. And he was trying to talk to. He came over and tried to talk to me and my friends, and I walked off because we don't get along. And then I was sat on one of the bollards, and he came up behind me, smashed a bottle on something, and was holding it behind my head.
So he wasn't
And I
even
was like-
just trying to bottle you. He was ready to.
Gonna
Yeah.
stab you with
So I was like, do it if you're bad, nigga. I didn't even move. I actually didn't even turn around, yeah. I was like, do it if you're bad, nigga. I was like, if you're motherfucking
Shakira
bad,
the Oracle or
if you're
something.
motherfucking bad, do it. And everyone around me was like, no, bro, chill. I was like, no, leave him. If he's motherfucking bad, he should do it.
I've
He
seen-
didn't. And like 5 minutes later, he was like, oh, Shakira, brethren, you will die today.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw a girl get boiled once. It was the most funny thing.
But that was funny. Shall I you? Everybody knows me.
Shall I?
Shall I you?
Anyways, since we seem to keep going left, bottling.
No, it was actually one of the most
Etc.,
hilarious.
etc..
Like, it wasn't nice to watch in terms of a guy should never be bottling it, but just the way that
The situation was
Oh,
funny,
mate,
innit?
it was-
Yeah, no.
you had to be there.
I can understand. I've seen some shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna like. You know, since you said that, it just took me to somewhere else. And you know, like, there's that whole thing of like, some women will take advantage of the fact that a man won't hit them.
Hit them. Yeah.
Like, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right in any circumstance. I mean, there's two circumstances where I won't mention, but it has to be very extreme for a guy to put hands on a woman. But in West End, one of these clubs, I can't remember what club it was. I think it was called Runway for a while.
Yeah,
And it
right.
was something
Okay.
else. There must have been beef, like a bunch of guys were in there beefing with someone else, and then girls got involved, and it was just a whole big brawl. But then out of nowhere, I didn't see what happened before. All I see is one guy spark out this girl and then grab her by her hair and just lay that and dragged her, laying into her through the club. Obviously, he got rushed immediately after, but it was just the way it happened. So I'm standing there, I'm like, so there's bottles going everywhere, there's drinks everywhere, and I'm like, huh? And I look
How did we
over
get
and there's this one just
What?
just get it. And I'm like, nah.
That's out of order still.
Yeah.
That's
But anyways,
terrible.
back onto the topic at hand. So episode 10, we've been having these kind of discussions on and off. So we said top 10 rappers, dead or alive, even though dead or alive doesn't matter that much because dead is only going to be Biggie, Tupac and a couple others. But yeah, top 10. So obviously
No, I'm joking.
there's
We know you
personal
don't like my husband
preferences,
already.
etc. I know some of us have some lists already and some points we're ready to debate just
ain't no
because
list, nigga.
there's going to be some contentious names on that list.
I don't really have anything planned. I have like
That's
Right,
okay.
What we do need to do, however, is
God.
define the metrics first. In
This
terms
is what
of,
I asked before because
But
we're not
why?
going to sit
Because
here and
I'm-
define the metrics and
no,
picking
like,
it out.
Do you know what I
just
mean?
for the casual listener out there, for their benefit. Obviously, we all know what we hold dearly in our MCs, innit? And our lists are obviously going to reflect
All right.
that.
So
But generally, what will people
personally,
look at as defining things?
Lyricism.
I think the casual listener that maybe isn't even a proper hip hop head might just sit there and say, well, I like this album that much, or these certain songs were this popular, or something like that, something that may not be quite deep into rapping or MCing, so to speak. Personally, I'm looking for like lyrical content, flow, cadence, you know, even like in some cases some people's features even help stand them up as like not necessarily a top rapper but in amongst the mix. Like, so I know personally my list reflects a certain type of hip hop that I like. I like the boom bap, golden era type rap, and then later on it was slightly more of the backpack type stuff. So I've got a rough 10 that probably reflects that.
Hit us up
But
with that then.
there's people that's gonna do.
Wait.
Give us
I
a
wanted
tip,
to.
Wait, no, I want to hear yours. No.
In terms of, for me, like, there was obviously, if anyone's familiar with the Blueprint bonus track, where Jay's like, "And my interviews are hot, a nigga holler." Like, he kind of touches on all of the things. So you gotta have lyrical content. You have to have a classic album or body of work, because some people obviously don't necessarily have a classic album, but they've been involved in a project that has obviously.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree, but I also think that point's debatable because there's exceptions to that rule. I'm not going to name them now, but there's definitely exceptions of people that we are fans of that might not have a
That specific-
classic
Well,
album.
I can tell you now, I've got people in mind that
but they
don't
might
have
have been
classic
doing
albums
it for
me
10,
too.
15, 20
too.
years
Okay.
consistently.
that I just love because they've got separate songs over the years.
For a lot of people, obviously, sales and chart success or
I wouldn't
care
count.
about that.
accolades.
Neither that either.
Yeah.
I don't
Play
care.
like
It's
achievements.
It's whoever I just
quote, unquote.
have who's
In terms
resonated
of-
with me over the years.
Again, once you have, for me, you have to display a level of versatility in terms of whether that be your content and the direction. Say, for instance, looking at Kendrick, where he was able to do something different and still make good music as a result.
Yeah,
So
definitely,
versatility, or like maybe playing with, see, like M is a classic. Being able to do different things,
like,
I rate that highly.
Yeah, M is like an amazing rapper. I personally wouldn't put him in my top 10.
Nah, neither would.
But M, like in terms of the art of rapping, M is like
The
top.
embodiment.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
the only reason M wouldn't go in my top 10 is because his music doesn't age well. Like,
It doesn't.
He,
it doesn't.
He's a skillful rapper, but his lyrical content, it doesn't age well. Like, when you go back and you listen to M stuff, you're like, the fuck
So
was I
you're like
Bullies
so
and
immature.
Britney Spears
and that's what it
and-
is. M is immature in his
yeah.
lyrical content.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
even when he did like a freestyle like last year or whatever, it was just like M didn't move forward, sort of thing. And even with his production with Slaughterhouse and stuff like that, you can sort of see where M's influence drags them down a bit because he's got that childish, immature, jokey nature that doesn't
F
age
everyone
well.
kind of.
But as
attitude.
a rapper, he's skillful. He's skillful.
Yeah,
with it.
good flows.
He just but he doesn't. His actual content doesn't age well. That's
what I mean.
I just
In
wanted
terms
to.
the only reason why it wouldn't.
in terms
it wouldn't
of like,
think for me.
that's what I'm saying. In terms of technique and actual rapping, like M is at the top or right next to it. But in terms of how he maybe the stuff he talks about
actual product.
and how he
his actual product.
Because his musical product has been dead for years.
Yeah.
In terms of
but
that,
even when you look back, but some people they haven't produced anything much in the last few years.
But it
But when
ages
you
a
look
lot,
back,
When
you're
you
like,
go
I
back,
can still
you can-
listen to that because it's aged well. And M isn't one of those people. But at the time when M was popping, what he was doing, it worked for him. Do you know what I mean? And his skill. He'll always have the abilities. Do you get what I mean? That's all that. So he is a top rapper, but he's not a favourite just because of content.
I'm gonna give you a rough top 10.
Wait, I think.
But I think before you say that, I wanted to say that there are definitely, obviously, we're going to all have our own top 10.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's going to, I don't know about you lot, but a lot of mine is going to just be influenced by my relationship with them and
That's mine,
me listening to them
1000%.
That's what
all
it's
my
gonna
life.
be.
But there are going to be people like Eminem, for example, who you honorable mentions because they did it for the culture at a certain part, or they're still doing it for the culture but aren't in our top 10. And just people you have to just kind of honor because they just did well for hip hop.
And I'm going to
essentially.
say that for me, and it's probably because of who my favourites are, sales don't really mean very much to me.
No,
like,
of course not.
I feel like it's that to me doesn't say anything to the skill of rapping.
It doesn't.
It says something for you
Because then Drake can be in your top 10.
But he's some people's number one.
He is.
He's some people's number one. And those are the sorts of people that I'm not going to lie to you, I can't really have this conversation with. but we'll move on.
Riz doesn't look happy.
I've got a very, very rough 10, and you know what? I don't even want to put it in order.
I'm not going to lie to you, I don't have a top 10, but I have a random
I was sitting here
9.
writing out names, and I was like, oh, like maybe I could put this person, and I really like this person, but I'm like, even if I like them that much, is that enough for them to be in my actual top 10 of rappers. I don't know.
It's difficult, and I haven't actually
But
planned.
I'm not gonna lie. 3 of my
I
top
planned
10
a little bit.
name themselves, and Biggie's always gonna be in my top 10. He had a short career, but for what he did and how he did it, and for helping put Brooklyn in the map in the 90s after Kane and many others have already done it in previous years, he embodied a lot of that flashy shit, like especially when he was like, you know, I'm a big ugly nigga type thing, and I'm out here flossing, and I got girls, I got this. He really helped kind of push things forward. But yeah, I'm just gonna get the easy ones out the way. Biggie, Nas, and Jay-Z. Like, Nas is forever gonna be one of my favorite rappers. He's not even content wise, but output wise has been poorer of late. Hasn't had an album in 5 years and stuff. You know, we can sit there and talk about all of the points at a later time. But yeah, Nas, Biggie, and Jay. I'm gonna go, surprisingly, Common is in my list. I love Common from album 1 to now. I think the only album of his that kind of disappointed me was Finding Forever, when he had like Lily Allen and some other bits in there.
He was really trying to find something at that point.
Yeah, for real.
he was finding something at that point, and it was.
I'm always up and down with him,
It wasn't
man.
even bad. It just wasn't what
It
we're
wasn't
used
common.
to. It wasn't what we're used to.
It was. You know what it was? It was good music, as in Kanye's
But you
label.
got to look
but
at
it
the
wasn't-
transitions with Common in terms of he went from obviously Dilla style,
Conscious.
Yeah.
conscious, and he was able to.
Well, it wasn't.
He's still kind of.
Well, it was initially no ID, so it was no ID for like 2 or 3 albums, and then he got into the whole Dilla style and the Erica Badu, Soulquarian shit, and just went left. Like
I
Water for
appreciate
Chocolate
that comment, let's be
is
honest.
one of my favorite albums ever. That
Yeah.
will be in my top 10 albums without a doubt. But then, what was the other one? Electric Circus, I think.
Yeah.
That was the one with the Mary joint on it.
Yeah, that was all the electric shit. I didn't like that at all. And Dilla and all of them were involved in it, but they went left of it. And I was like, it doesn't really work
I think
for me.
one thing with Common, he's very experimental. Like he sees and he plays around with what happens, and sometimes it works, and other times it doesn't work for me. I'm not gonna say it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
but
same. But he still.
His Common has one of the top 10 hit songs ever made in hip hop. So, like, putting him in your top 10 for me, it kind of, I wouldn't argue. Like,
No, I
And
wouldn't
I think
argue. I did
in that
toy with
sense,
the
I think
idea,
B
but
is probably like Water for Chocolate, and maybe Like Water for Chocolate is
B's
definitely a
an
classic
amazing album.
and B probably fits in that category as well. But yeah, Common. I'm gonna go Elza from Slum Village, who unfortunately album-wise hasn't had much output. He's only had like maybe 4 solo projects released in all these years, but he's just a killer MC. Like, talking about syllables and multiples when you're rapping, rhyme schemes, everything. He can twist them all upside down. Like, if you just listening to him rap is like fucking, I don't even know, it's like being in a class and trying to figure out everything. Like, he's just nuts. And plus he's another Detroit MC as well. Joe Budden, easily going to be in my top 10. I think for a period of time that Joe Budden was the top rapper. People dispute it and stuff, but what you're rapping about, how you're rapping about it, how you display it, he's always going to go in my top 10. Res 5'9" actually will be in my top 10
I
again
understand that.
Mine too.
for the art of rapping. Like, I think he's never made, I think Layers, his most recent album, has been his best album.
First track on that is
Yeah.
insane.
The
That
best album
album is
he's
amazing.
released in his
I never
career.
really listened to him outside
Oh
of
my God,
the
you
Little
need
Crew.
to.
Never really paid him any mind.
You know what, like, when Res first came out and it was the whole thing with M, and he kind of, they did Bad Meets Evil, so he kind of reflected what M did. Like, as the years went on, Res stepped up and improved and evolved from that. So even though a lot of his early musical output, like I think Rock City and another one of his albums, they were kind of poor, they all had great singles.
I remember Rest the 5'9" on GTA 3, bro.
Yeah,
That's
I remember the track as well. But like, he had hits like Boom and Hip Hop, all the Premiere stuff. Later on, he kind of evolved his musical style more. And the thing is, I think even now, on this very day, you can't name 3 rappers
Better
that will
than
out
Res.
rap
No.
Res. It's just not gonna happen.
He's a ghostwriter too, so
Yeah,
like
it's not gonna happen ever. Yeah, Res. I'd put Redman in there as well, because that's just a personal thing.
Personal favourite.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Red and Meth as a duo anyway,
Yeah.
like all day long. But personally, Redman, like
I think the pool of Wu-Tang has got some.
Do you know?
there's
I always-
potentials.
I
but I've got one out
They've
of
got
Wu as
some.
well.
So do I.
I'm not gonna lie. If you don't have a member of Wu-Tang in your top 10, like
Yeah, what are you doing?
But yeah,
Yeah, so that actually, now that you mentioned Wu, that brings me on to my next one. Ghostface. is
Yep.
top 10.
Ash's
I know,
list
but-
sounded a bit like mine.
Yeah.
Ghost-
There's probably about 3 or
I was
that
stuck
aren't in
between
mine.
Ghost and Ray.
I actually was like, maybe
But
both.
Ghost edges it to me because you know what I find with Ray is like, even though he's lyrical and everything and his delivery is perfect and has been for years, because Ghost brings that little bit extra. He's got that
Ghost
kind
is
of
more of a personality.
yeah. He's more eccentric. When
And
he
I think
spits.
Ghost stayed consistent throughout the years.
You say more
And
consistent,
Ray's
right?
music was just after
If
Cuban
anything,
Links, it was just like meh.
After Cuban
Popularity
Links,
was
it dropped off,
Yeah.
and then he kind of brought it back with Cuban Links 2.
Yeah.
Like his last few projects have been decent.
Decently.
I liked him. I like him in some of the good music songs. Anyway,
Yeah,
did alright.
Yeah.
He does feature very well, to be fair. Whenever he does get
it's
on
just his
tracks with
own
other
bodies of work. It's just like
Yeah, Ghost, and I'm just making sure. How many have I got there? That's it.
bodies of work or body.
And you know what? I'll just run through the last couple quickly.
Wait, how many have you said? Do you
I
even know?
think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Oh, I'm on 9 already.
And how many you got in your actual list?
Would you like to know?
I've easily got like 20 something rappers in this list, and I was like, I know a few of them are going to pick themselves. But you know what the thing is? This changes with how much I'm listening to hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, as
I'm
in.
very offended at this point, but continue.
And then lastly, just again, people aren't going to agree with it, but I don't care. I'm going to throw Prodigy in there. Like
Peas in
Prodigy.
mine.
I thought about him,
Peas in mine.
but then I thought no,
And
Peas in mine.
because I don't have that much of a
Just-
deep relationship with him.
just as a disclaimer, Tupac will never be in my top 10, 20, maybe 30, but it's the, do you know what it's the easy route to pick Biggie and Tupac and whoever else
Big's
is
not in
past.
mine. I'll be
Personally, just
Big
because
Pac
I
is in
like
mine.
Pac's
what
in mine,
Biggie
Big's not in
did,
mine.
I'll
I
tell
put
you why as
Biggie in
well.
mine, but not Tupac, for example. It's a little bit of a cop out still picking them. I could have done it.
I think you and I have Pac in for the same reasons, though.
But
Is that your top 10? Just run through it quickly from top to bottom.
so Nas, Biggie, Jay, Common, Elza, Joe Budden, Redman, Rest, Ghost, and who did I just say last? Prodigy. Yeah.
It's an interesting list.
Bear in mind, this is like under pressure. I just was writing names yesterday. I'm probably gonna look.
I just put.
You're gonna get home and be like,
There's
damn,
11
I should
people
have
on
said.
this list, and last night when I looked at the group chat, I put the first 11 people that came to my head.
Like, I know I'm gonna look back on
yeah.
this and say there's others.
The first
But
8 just sort of they just
Between
came by themselves.
personal preference, lyrical content, how they provided that content, there's so many people that for me can be honourable mentions, because you know what, a lot of people are going to say, well, why is Rakim not in your top 10? Why is Big
Rakim's
Daddy
in
Kane not
mine.
in your top 10? Why is LL Cool J not in your top 10? So many of those kind of artists where it's just preference, that's all.
Yeah.
Like Kane, I can say I love Kane, but then how many albums did Kane make that I will listen to? Fine, you can sit there and say what he introduced and his impact on the culture. He started the whole Brooklyn thing and the flossing and the smoothness and all of that. That wasn't there before Kane came in the game. So there's a lot of things. Rakim introduced a lot of rhyme schemes. If he wasn't about, we wouldn't have a lot of the rappers we have now. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff like that. But in terms of the actual rapping and then the music I would listen to from the artist, that's what I've tried to go
lean
with.
towards.
Yeah.
Shakira, you're up next.
So I'll tell you the ones of Ashes that are in mine first of all. Joe Budden's in mine, Royce is in mine, Nas is in mine, Ghostface is in mine. I think that's all. Oh, Prodigy's in mine.
What's that? How many is that?
That's 5 or 6.
Right. So, additionally, I've got Jada.
Yeah, Kiss
Okay.
was top. Kiss was close for me. I'm not gonna lie.
got Jada.
Kiss
Very
was real close.
Jada's in my
Very,
top
very
5.
close.
So I've got Jada. I've got I've got Rakim. I've got Sean Price, because for me, Sean Price is one of my favourites just for his one-liners. Like,
Do you know?
just for his one-liners.
Do you know what? I would never put Sean Price anywhere near my top 10, but I love Sean Price. Like, I get it. Like,
Sean
You're
Price
gonna
is
kill
one of
me for who's on my top
faves.
10.
Sean Price is one of my faves because, like, lyrically, I just think his one-liners and his punches, they get to me, innit?
do you know what it is with Sean Price? There's interviews with him and he talks about how he writes his lyrics, and he'll just write one word and he'll be like, okay, what comes out of this?
Yeah.
And like, that's why everything he does is so random.
Yeah.
I think that's why him, and some people might not like the comparison, but him and Action Bronson are similar in that sense, and that they talk the most random shit. Like,
Ghost as well fits into that.
yeah,
category.
Yeah.
of course Ghost does, but Ghost originated that.
But
Like, they took
it makes
elsewhere.
me feel good, innit? And when he died, I was just like, wow. Like, I do, yeah. He was
Sean Price is dope.
He was one of my favourites for a long time. Oh, I don't know. How many people have I got?
I think 6 or 7. So that's spot.
Oh God, have you got them written down?
There's a
I
list.
wrote them down quickly.
So
Talib's in mine as well, and I know a lot of people
Talib's an honourable mention for me.
will thing with this, because Talib fell off and he wasn't putting out good content, and that peeved me off a bit. But
I think he had a lull for a few years.
yeah, he
and then
did.
I think over the last 5-6 years, his musical output's been a lot better, in my opinion. But,
Yeah. And the 7 album means a lot to me.
oh yeah, Talib and Styles, yeah.
The 7 album means a lot to me. And Black Thought.
Yeah,
Black Thought
yep,
for me.
yep. I can't believe I
It's
didn't
up
even
there.
put him in my honourable mentions. Black
Black
Thought
Thought.
is ill.
Like, Black Thought is up there for me for so many reasons. Partly because for me, he was carrying the roots for a long time lyrically.
Black Thought is the root.
Do you get what I mean? Like he was so.
It was only like Malik and like Dice Raw
yeah.
over the years that have been in and out rap wise.
Yeah,
I think that's 10.
that's 10.
you didn't say Pac.
Oh,
Is he your
Tupac's in
honourable
mine.
mention? Is
Tupac
your
in
honourable
mine. Sorry,
mention?
I didn't mention Tupac. Yeah, Tupac's in mine.
You just hopped
Is
to
he in
11,
your 10 or is
I've
he
got
outside?
or is he in?
your 10?
Is there
This
an
is the
honourable
thing. I don't
mention?
know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. Tupac is in my top 10, but then
So
who do I
he's-
slide out?
he's sliding up.
I don't slide anyone out.
My list
Don't
is so
tell me what you
like
think, because I'll
pop.
be annoyed.
my list is so primary school.
Honourable mention though to Kendrick, because I do love Kendrick.
Yeah, Kendrick
love
gets
Kendrick.
an
He's
honourable
on his
mention for
way.
me too.
I do love
Very
Kendrick.
much on his way.
Yeah, he's my honourable.
I tweeted this yesterday. His verses on
And
the
to
Bitch Don't
Schoolboy.
Kill My Vibe remix.
And to Schoolboy, because Schoolboy is one of my Schoolboy's a favourite of mine as well.
It's alright. It's coming.
I can't slide anyone out.
Have you lot finished?
Oh.
I think we should go to Gabby first.
Oh.
Because Riz is gonna go
Yeah,
rappity rap.
yeah, because mine's gonna be an anticlimax. Let me go.
Riz hasn't spoken, and I'm already annoyed.
Because he's mad because we didn't want to do what he wanted to do.
Go for it.
All right, my list is.
He was getting edgy from Ash's list.
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
he
God.
feels offended, but he shouldn't.
Don't feel offended.
I'm not offended. I just think
You said you were offended.
You said I'm offended when Ash.
Do you know why?
I'm
Because
not
we're not
offended
doing it
anymore.
We're not doing it as
Because
a group.
I've seen
How it
the
worked
trend.
out. Okay.
So I'm not offended. I just feel that.
Disagree.
But
Anyway, let Gabby get a shot.
for it.
I think it all worked differently if we all thought of 10 together. But this is the way we're doing
This is
it.
what we're
So
gonna do.
It's
first.
that's the end result. Well,
thought-
no, it's
Well,
not.
there's-
That's not gonna work.
That's
but
not the end result.
That's the
because
idea.
It's not gonna
It's not
happen.
gonna work. Go on.
well, there's the obvious ones.
Yeah.
Obviously, so Biggie, because the same reasons Ash said. Went from ashy to classy, and I love the fact that he was so truthful about how he just used to suffer and not suffer, but you know, the relative poverty he grew up in, eating sardines, blah blah blah. I've been there,
Can I-
done that.
Just to
relate
address
to
that,
that?
he
That wasn't-
didn't grow up in poverty.
What do you mean?
He was relatively well
Mrs.
off.
Wallace had decent money. He was the first one in the hood with a Nintendo. He was really wearing.
Good,
cookie
let me
jumpers
shut
and
up
stuff
then.
As their kids.
No, that's like I said. You know, when somebody tells their story, they see it from their perspective.
See, my thing is, is in the case of Biggie is that I've clearly just listened to the music and I didn't love him that much to research into his life. But regardless of that, he's still in the top because there are people out there.
I would never dispute Big B
because there are people out there who've actually lived the life he's rapping.
I don't argue with anyone
that's a common in terms of his story. Like I said, even with the Notorious film, it's a common misconceptions about his story and how it's been portrayed to the public. In terms of
Juicy wasn't.
I don't necessarily.
So what? Where did you read this? Was it in his? Did his mom have a biography?
His mom said it. His family.
See, I haven't seen any of these things.
There's been a lot of it. That there's pictures of him as a kid. Like
but a teacher doesn't get paid.
No, but we're talking about Brooklyn in the crack era.
But regardless, a teacher's pay isn't like middle life
We're not
life.
talking about in these days though.
No, I know, but even
But
still, unless she was a head teacher or head of department or something.
Big didn't have no struggle.
Teacher is much better than welfare checks, if you know what I mean.
At that time,
Yeah,
Brooklyn,
I knew he didn't. I knew he wasn't on welfare checks. That's
So
100%. I know that as well.
In the way that
definitely
Brooklyn
not suffering.
was. Do you get what I mean?
True.
But he went into that life, and then that's
He
what it all came
chose to become. He didn't need to do it. That's why,
He
obviously,
left
even
that
in the
alone.
film, when you see his mum's reaction to finding out that he was selling crack, and him eventually going jail, is because she was like, in terms of the fact that she was a single parent, did not stop her providing a decent life.
But couldn't you say that?
Working.
Oh God. Anyway, so Biggie, Jay, just because of his plethora of just all the albums he has,
See with the big
and what he's done, blah blah blah. Nas, of course. Even though he doesn't have as much consistency with albums like Jay has.
Before before you go
No,
any
let her
further,
carry on.
Can you put you've named your first three?
Yeah.
Is there an order of your first three?
Why in order, by the way?
No, I just want to ask Gabby.
No, there isn't an order. None of them are order.
None of
in
you
order.
decided to.
No.
do you know,
It depends how I feel.
I can order my 10, which I might do later, but
I can't.
there's only going to be one of two that's
I
at
can.
the top. So.
I can give you a top 5 and a subsequent 5. But I don't have a specific order.
There's not one on here that screams out to me, oh my God, out of everyone there,
stand
they're my favourites. There's probably one on here that has more songs that I like than others, if that makes sense. So someone on here's got 20 songs that I absolutely love, and other people already got like
maybe 10, 5 or something.
Yeah. So there, who have I said? Obviously, Tupac, right? I know you don't agree, but he definitely is because of my personal experience with him, and he had that, the fake rough side of him, and he's just doing it for, the
Tupac
love.
was the first real popular contradiction.
But
in terms of rap,
exactly, and I understand that certain things sell. Do you know what I mean? West Side, whatever.
Yeah.
You're born in Brooklyn or born in New York rather. Harlem, and you're not really from LA. So anyway, so that was that side. But then he also had his other side where he related to women, mothers. He was very poetic in that sense.
Well,
and that
you see, that for me personally is why Tupac, one, I've never liked him that much as a rapper, why I'd never put him on something, because to me, I can appreciate what he said, his message, what he carried, but to me, Tupac's always more of a poet than a rapper.
Yeah.
A lot will say the two go line in line, but to me, I see Tupac as more of a poet, and that's why.
But that's what
and because
I appreciate about him musically, to be honest.
Yeah. And because at one point I used to play I Wonder If Heaven's Got a Ghetto on repeat.
I was listening to that yesterday.
On like all the time, as like in my late teens, mid-teens, late teens, I used to play it all the time.
I'm gonna back you up in a minute when you finish.
Okay.
Because obviously there seems to be a bit of there
seems to be a bit of what?
Now obviously with Tupac there's always that element of is he a top MC, but go on.
And then Styles P is in mine.
He's an honourable mention for me.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not mad at that.
Styles P is in mine because
I don't think anyone can be mad at that.
When I thought about it, I actually did listen to a lot of his music growing up, and I actually know when you're like, wait, I know all these lyrics, and
when you hear something,
do you know what I mean? And so so sorry, I'm getting excited. See, even speaking about him, I love Styles, and I just like his aura and his he seems so calm, but then he seems like a killer, if that makes sense.
It's easy
Styles
to relate.
has been calm
It's
over
easy
the
to
last
relate
8
to
years.
Styles, yeah, even though you don't relate. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I relate to Styles even though I don't relate to the but it felt like he made things relatable.
Also, you know that song, that's my brother. That again, that's another one that I loved. All this, like that one and the Tupac track, it all for when my cousin died. These kind of songs like
Really,
were embedded in me. So that's why, like with him, he's my favorite as well. So if you're a rapper and you make songs that make me cry or make me emotional, you're my favorite.
Which is why we all love Joe Budden.
Well, he's not in my top 10, but he's honourable mention.
That's fair enough.
100%.
Gets me in my feelings. I'm not gonna lie.
No, so it's not even like he gets me. When I'm in my feelings, I just go, Joe.
Sometimes you would just want to flick on All of Me and just ride out.
Honestly,
for a bit.
like last year, I had All of Me on repeat every morning before I went to work.
That sounds really depressing.
I was in a real state of depression. Like, no, I'm not even gonna.
Do you know what? I don't even mean to laugh.
But see, when I was sad, I would put on Tupac. That's who I used to put on.
Like, I was bad. Like, I cried every day for like 3 months. Like, it was bad. Yeah.
I've been there, done that.
I survived on rum. Like, that was my staple every day. Rum. But yeah.
Oh God. Joe. See what you do to people. So Jada is my honourable mention. He's not in my top 10.
Fair enough.
But because I love the whole Locks,
I think if you
D Block.
I think anybody could probably pick a member of the Locks.
Yeah.
Their top.
Because like we said last time,
She could get mugged off.
I just about
but
Sheik still had some good.
But Sheik shouldn't.
Exactly. But I wouldn't. No, he wouldn't even get honourable mention, to be honest.
Rude.
So Ghostface, definitely.
Yeah.
I met
This is time
Ghostface.
to zoom in on Riz's face because he's so stressed with us right now.
Ghostface. Anyway, can I stop interrupting with your facial expressions?
I'm not. Me interrupting.
Yes, you interrupted.
You're doing this while Gabby's giving her list.
I'm reflecting. I'm trying to visualise my top 10.
You know what your top 10
He's trying to visualise his top 10 while also killing us in the background in his head.
Like, what the fuck are these lot doing right
No,
now?
I'm really just taking.
He's like, where's the sales? Where's the sales? Where's the sales in his head?
There's rum.
How these lot don't have a consistent body of work.
Where's the
These lot don't
sales?
have a
How many
classic
albums have they?
That's not a
This is
classic
what-
album.
When have they ever been in top 40?
How many quotables do they have?
This is what he's doing mentally.
That's
we
right.
already
Sip
know.
away. Sip away.
In fact, you need to
Anyway,
finish
go
that.
on.
Anyway,
Right.
so that's
Time for you
1,
to give
2,
yours.
3, 4, 5 so far. Ghostface, obviously, just because of what he's done with Woo, and then what he did on his own, and again the one
pretty
with
good
Mary
solo
J. All that I got is you. That one again.
emotional.
And I met him one time when I was 8 or 9 years old, coming from youth club, youth with an F.
What was Ghostface doing at youth club?
No, I was coming out of youth club,
Oh, okay.
and he was staying at K West in Bush, and he was wearing powder blue from head to toe. His do rag,
You're with the Wiley.
his do rag, and I'm sure he had wallabies on as well, you know.
course he did.
And the sports, everything was blue. The tracksuit he was wearing, and it was a velvet tracksuit, and he signed a bit of an envelope that I ripped off somewhere. I don't know where I don't know where I got it from, and he signed it, and he said, I can't remember what he said. He just said "good looking out" or something, and then gave it back to me. And I was like, "Oh my god, Ghostface!" And I went to show my brother and my big cousins because that was all their music.
Yeah.
So that was him. So he's in there.
But yeah, go on.
I had Raekwon up
This is
there,
nowhere
but I
near
think
the
he's gonna
conversation.
just be honourable because just if you compare him to Ghost,
Ooh, that's harsh
Ray.
because I don't even. Alright, fair
Ray
enough.
is what? Ray is in there as well.
No.
So guys,
not.
if you
Honourable
compare him to
mention.
Ghost, it's I wouldn't say that.
I
wouldn't
mean,
say that.
but in this context, sorry, let me put it into context. He's a great. They're equally good lyricists, rappers, flows, content,
But
blah
Ghost
blah
edges it for you,
blah. But
like
Ghost's
you said,
music has been better for me.
definitely,
More consistent,
definitely.
yeah, just
Definitely,
more
yeah,
consistent.
And I'm not
Definitely
gonna lie,
more
even
consistent.
if you look at that, if you want to get more specific, Wood only built for Cuban links. have been as good a project if we
Without
take
Ghost?
all of Ghost's verses off.
No.
It wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't have
No, it
been.
wouldn't.
So
It wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have been. And do you know what I realised?
Cuban Link's better than Supreme Clientele.
A lot of my majority of my rappers are from New York.
That's cool.
well, that's a surprise.
And as I was so much. As I was like, you know when you have to listen to some songs like, oh my god, yeah, this is why I like you, blah blah blah. I really love the New York accent. That is probably another main influence.
New York is synonymous with rap, so
And it just puts you in. It puts you on the streets of New York for me. And back in the day with the videos and the XXL tees and XXL jeans, for me, it's more than just the music. It's always the culture as well.
Yeah, it's culture.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think a lot of these people are my favourites. Obviously, in addition to
many
the
have you
music.
got?
To be fair,
How many have you got so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so Fab obviously is mine. I don't care what anyone says.
No one's gonna argue.
He's my
a
favourite.
lot of people are gonna be mad at that.
That's their business.
But I can
Come see me.
understand somebody picking him. I wouldn't pick Fab in my top 10.
That's fine.
But
He's
I
in my
can
top 10.
I can understand why somebody would.
So you know why he's in my
He'd be
top 10?
further down to me, but
He's further.
Oh,
Fab's
this isn't
top
in
20
order.
for me.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
But just in general, like, outside of a
he's
10.
out of my top 10.
So-
but he'd be in
For me to
20,
explain,
Fab would be in my top
25.
20.
Yeah.
for me to explain, it's because I consistently, well, actually, that's a lie. The last probably year, I haven't played his mixtapes, but there was a point over a few years where I consistently played his
All of shit.
mixtapes.
Yeah.
And I kind of shared that experience with about 2 or 3 of my friends, and that's where that comes from. Like, I love that guy. I like that he's got these little simple but witty bars, and I like the fact that he chooses. I always was, at one point I was concerned that he was using other people's tracks to rap on them, but I like that he does that and makes it his own as well. Old Kanye is one of my favorites as well. Again, because of his history, his albums,
I knew someone was gonna pick him.
also because of his production
I don't
and just
rate
everything
Kanye
else.
That much, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys.
Who have I said? 1, 2,
Nah,
3,
Witty
4,
Kanye
5,
was sick.
6,
He
7,
wouldn't
8.
get near my top 10.
Now-
but he was sick.
Another one is Cole, only because, again, someone I played.
I'm not gonna
I
lie
knew
to
Cole
you.
was coming.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When
You already know I love Cole, so
when,
of course he's
know
gonna
when we
be in Cole.
discussed,
we know.
when they said that this is what we're gonna do, I thought that you would have mentioned him sooner. to be honest with you,
No, but why would I
I'm
mention him
surprised.
over?
I'm surprised that it took you this long to say his name.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised too.
It's my babes. I'm
I knew
sorry.
he was coming.
Again, me and my
He
friend
wouldn't
used
be on my
to
top
drive
10.
from Birmingham down to London,
20.
listening to his mixtapes before he came out with his albums and stuff. So again,
Friday Nights.
someone, yeah, exactly.
Friday Night Lights was the best mixtape.
Exactly.
By
So
far.
him and the badness, yeah, just love him. So that's 8. I'm still stuck on 2, and there's one I wanted to mention for the culture, but again, it's not really because of albums. It's just what he did for the South, which is America, and it's T.I.
Interesting.
Good pick,
and
to
I've
be
hu-
fair.
and I'm
I
not gonna
wouldn't pick him,
lie,
but I get it.
I'm
I
only
get it.
influenced because of other like previous conversations of people having
And
top
it makes
10
things
or
click
top
to you,
15.
yeah,
You have to kind of look at him and think, wow,
T.I. would
he
be
did
top
a
20
lot.
for me, easy.
And he still had, even if
T.I. probably rates higher than a lot of people give him credit for. Lyrics.
1,000%.
no 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And he
I'm
had,
not-
and
he
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 had
wouldn't be in my top
what
10.
the young people say is
but-
bangers.
But I'm not.
He's not
mad.
even in my top 10. I just feel I need to fill
You
the,
need
the
to frame
gaps.
that. That's fair enough. I'm not mad at that.
If you
so
just
you need
take-
you need some more people then.
I'm illy.
Yeah. Or you need to at
For a
least,
lot of
or you need to
tracks.
at least give us honourable mentions then.
No, you've got a whole space left.
Yeah, you gotta give us one there.
Listen, I gave y'all 11. Gabby's got to give us 10.
And you know what? There's people that have been.
Do you know who I really thought of?
Kill
But
wasn't on my list.
do you know who I really thought of? But I've never really tried to listen to an album of his. But no, he's going to be in it. Q-Tip. Q-Tip's in mine.
Thank you.
Fair.
I'm
Q-Tip is
glad somebody picked
Fair.
somebody like that because Q-Tip was on my mind because I'm a huge
Q-Tip was on my
Trad
mind
fan.
as well. But
What?
I knew I was already pushing it with my 11.
There were butts with quotables and stuff like that why he wouldn't fit in the category for me. But
I was
because I'm
waiting
more,
for Riz's
because I'm more
attack, to be
backpack,
honest.
he would be up there for me. I know Riz would never ever pick Q-Tip.
So,
in
but do you know why? Because he's a lyricist. He's actually a lyricist, and he's made some really good features. So I would actually, as that's my off the cuff one.
Do we have time?
Shout out off the cuff.
I feel like we don't
can
have
you
time
run
for
through-
Riz.
One more, but I'm gonna replace T.I. and I'm just gonna say Yasin.
Moss.
Yeah.
The mighty Mos Def.
Yeah.
And again, because of his features and odd songs that he's done here and there over my years of listening to hip
Most
hop.
of them fit in my top 10, but I'm looking forward to seeing him and Taliba's Black Star.
Yeah, baby. I'm so
the
excited.
top 10
Are you coming, Gabby? This is what I need
No,
to
I'm not
know.
coming.
Okay.
No.
Riz, you are. Yes?
Yeah.
So my top 10 is Tupac,
You are.
Yeah,
Biggie,
I'm about to get ready.
Jay, obviously the obvious one. So Tupac, Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, and then I've got Styles P, Ghost, J. Cole, Fab, Q-Tip, and Yasin Bey, aka Mos Def.
That's not a bad top 10. I disagree with a few choices, but it's not a bad top 10.
Are you saying that, man?
Some of them are selfish ones, some of them are for the culture.
I think all of you guys have kind of done.
I don't think I've explained them why I like them properly.
decent
Look at
job.
him coming in
Here
now.
we go, Mr. Rapidy
He's
Rap.
doing his Birdman
we
hand.
go.
Man, I remember in the winter of '97
he's gonna get so
when
deep.
something dropped.
No, do you know what it is? Yeah, I think we kind of got
Winter
a
of
bit
97.
misconstrued.
We didn't get misconstrued. It's like you're not gonna stick to everybody's opinion.
No, I think
of
what
the
what
criteria.
you did, what each of you have done, is pick your favorite 10 rappers,
It's-
which is fun.
It wasn't just that.
Which is fine. I'm here for that.
No, some of mine are top 10 of all time.
all like you can't mention
in the
some
top
of the
10 of all
names
time.
that you've done, and
Do you know what it is? To be fair, I neglected the DOA bit, but that's only because I don't feel there's that many that have passed that fit into
all
that
right.
criteria.
So say for instance,
Oh shit.
Oh, you wanted
Sorry,
to focus
Big
on
L,
video,
Big
right?
L, honourable mention. No, not honourable mention. Top 10 of all time, but not in my top 10.
okay,
Go.
thank you.
To be fair though, we didn't clarify whether it was favourite or best.
That's what I'm not. That's why I said I'm not
we
mad.
didn't-
You're not mad
I'm
at
not
it.
mad.
We
I'm
didn't.
not mad.
I figured we were doing favourites.
No, because obviously that's where I think I said there was a bit of misconception. But I'm not mad at you guys' individuals top 10s because I know that's what you would lean to in terms of your favorite rappers.
Yeah, 'cause-
however, what my list when I came in here this morning, what I thought we was doing was trying to name or trying
The
to
best.
the best
I wasn't
10
clear on
But we
MCs.
should have lined that out in the
no, no,
beginning
no,
then.
no.
That's fine. That's what I said.
I
It's
think
fine.
that's what we're doing.
If we're talking for me, there's two lists. I have a favorites list, and then I have
Yeah,
a
I think most
general
people have that.
consensus of what
Best.
is the best
Yeah,
10
yeah, yeah. I
MCs.
thought that we did.
But I said that earlier. I said we're not going over of what the world thinks is top 10. We're going for our favourites.
Okay.
I didn't think we were doing best. I thought we were doing favourites.
Okay. Favorite MCs
You're
are.
doing favourites.
Do what
that's
we
you're
did.
Probably
doing.
got time to do both, to be fair.
I don't,
Okay, no,
I don't think we've got time to do both.
no, I know my
Yeah,
list
he's gonna
is very
reel them up.
concise.
This ain't even
Oh,
a
I mean,
conversation.
as in
They're
have
gonna-
the best conversation because we've just done the favourite.
Like,
Oh no, we're not. doing that.
my list when I came in here this morning for
What's your list?
My list
For
I
the
know your
best.
list is gonna make me
For the
rethink
best.
my list.
is my favorite. I'll go through my favorites after.
Yeah.
So my list was Jay
Yeah.
at number 1, and I've done orders as well.
Alright. Oh, you fancy, huh?
Yeah, I'm fancy. Jay at number 1 for obvious reasons. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows my thoughts on Jay's
Yeah.
personally.
We had this
in
debate
terms of
already.
he's got a catalogue. He's got more than one classic album.
many quotables, etc.
His contribution just outside of his own music, so he has obviously put other people in position, whether or not they've gone on to
The Dynasty
fulfill.
album.
He's put a lot of rappers in positions.
State Property, all of them, Young Guns. etc.
Although people will say that Jay has never really got the better of his features or like we say features or battles,
That's a harsh one.
I think it's harsh because everyone leans on Jay Nas who won.
Yeah,
I think
and
Jay won, but
what is in the
again,
battle or in when
it's
they
in,
rap together?
it's in the like when they've rapped together, they've been very underwhelming as songs,
Apart from Success.
and even then, like it's still very,
I-
for the two premier MCs of a generation.
I thought Nas shitted on Jay-Z on Success.
On Success, he got the belt, but
Black Republican was poor.
Jay took a.
Jay won, but it was poor from both. Like
Like I said, they've been
Yeah.
very underwhelming.
Yeah.
So then at number 2, I would put Big.
yeah,
In terms of his ability to tell stories, flow, I think. Like in terms of,
that's enough. I got a story to tell. Was a real story.
it's a real story of
As much as we said
a New
some of
York
his
Knicks
other stuff
player.
wasn't. Yeah, an NBA player.
Listen, I had sardines and I was middle class my whole life.
No, I never ate sardines. It was more tuna. But then you look at the price of tuna. It's not really like tuna's not
Tuna,
cheap.
corned beef.
No, yeah, corned beef and tuna aren't
Yeah,
really
corned
cheap.
beef and rice was the
but,
best.
but they're not cheap though.
Corned
That's
beef
what I'm
is
saying.
not cheap,
It's
bro.
not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Like you know when you think of it, it's not cheap. Like a can of corned beef
I
is
haven't
like
bought
£4 or
I
something
wouldn't know. I
stupid
haven't
like
bought
that.
it for a while.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I don't eat corned beef
I don't eat
because
meat,
it reminds
so-
me of
It reminds you
myself
of
in
poor
the eye.
it
legs.
reminds me of struggle
Yeah.
days, corned beef and rice was like the go-to
I don't
meal.
eat corned beef because I
Bully
don't
beef.
eat meat anymore. But when I
I
did eat meat, corned beef was a favourite of mine.
My number 3, which kind of my top 3 picks itself in terms of Nas at number 3.
Pleasantly surprised.
No, like my issue with Nas, like,
That he's fake.
is that no, as a person, like as an individual, but in terms of his ability, he's top 3. Like you could never really
100%.
argue.
Yeah.
You could never really
Do you know
argue
what?
with that.
It actually does bring me to a point about, which is what I didn't mention because I was trying to roll through it quickly, is that when you read a lot of stuff, other people's books or their stories about Nas and stuff, you realise that, especially in his younger days, Nas was real insecure.
Yeah, he's a
and a
prick,
bit of a
bro.
prick. Like, even now, do you remember Ali Vegas?
Yeah.
So at one point he was touted to be like the next guy,
next
innit?
guy.
He was another Fab type character, and he never got there. And he's got an interview recently, which now I think he's just begging because it's 2017 now. But he basically said Nas blocked him because they were in the same Trap Masters camp around It Was Written time. So he's saying that Nas blocked him, and that's the reason he never got through. Even though he did diss tracks to Clue and all of this, he blamed it all on Nas. So I don't know. You know when there's just too many stories alluding to a person acting a certain way, there's got to be some kind of truth in it.
We can get into that whole Nas debate at another date. I'd put, like I said, if mine was a general consensus, I wouldn't be able to leave M out of my top 10. So I'd put M in there just for sheer
rapping
ability.
Yeah.
Again, with Gabby, I feel that as a rapper, Tupac is viewed very harshly. Now, the common thing why people say that Tupac wasn't a top lyricist is because obviously he's not as good as his contemporaries. Which he wasn't. However, you then have to look at other factors that play a huge part of his journey musically. In terms of, he's one of those rappers before like Nas came on, before New York was really the New York sound that we grew to love. He was like early Red Alert, like Digital Underground. He comes from a different time, and it was a very short-lived time in terms of it didn't pop as big as the New York that we know. But he comes from a different, and over time he then generally, his journey it's a very weird journey musically.
Wait, so you're putting Tupac in
In
your...
my top 10, 100%.
It is a very different journey, and I get where you're going with it, but I personally feel like that if you're saying, you know, he's come from a different time and what he did was probably different for when he first
Because
came,
I look at it like
New
this,
York
people
became the
wouldn't
golden era.
People wouldn't argue against Ice Cube being a top 10 MC. However,
I probably wouldn't. No, I would argue against top 10, but I understand because Ice Cube.
and I feel with Tupac, you have a very similar thing in terms of you cross.
I think Cube was better than Pac, but
Like, in terms of rapping, yes, I'm not going to say that Tupac was the best lyricist, but in terms of his ability to convey emotion and, like, despite what everyone says, Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, and the 7 Day Fury, you're going to struggle to find an artist that has had a better run musically over 3 albums back to back. No breaks between it. Like, you got to look at it like this. 1995
real tense next to Ashley.
and then he had 2 albums in the same year. You're gonna struggle to find a rapper that has put together 3 projects.
I'm gonna give you 2 points.
Go on.
About all that. One, the last time this conversation came up in our group, I went back and I listened to all of those Tupac albums because I've never been a Tupac fan. I was kind of brought up with the New York bias. Like, my dad was into Nas, Wu, Biggie, etc. They were all the records he had. He never liked Tupac, so for me, I kind of delved into that a little bit myself later on. But I was never a huge Tupac fan, and that's stuck to this day. Whether it's like even the vocals and the tone of his voice, everything about Tupac just doesn't
fit for you.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate with me.
For me,
let me finish.
Go on.
The second point of that is that you say, I think, was it All Eyes on Me or Against All? One of those albums, he was in jail for a significant portion of. A lot of the music that came out on one of those albums, I can't remember what it was because I read it up.
He was in jail.
That it was all pre-prepared tracks. They were tracks for everybody else, and then they just became Tupac tracks because he needed shit. So all he did was come and lay his verse.
No, all
a lot of
Eyes on Me
records.
was basically they had like Daz
Like
and
the track
Dre.
with Dog Pound and Red and Math.
Yeah.
All of that, a lot of that album
He just
was
took,
pre-prepared.
yeah.
He just wrote his shit and came and said, okay, I need music, I need shit ready to go.
Again, for me, there's so many factors that contribute to why I will put him in terms of, again,
I'm not going to argue with his inclusion.
in terms of, like, I have my reasons as to why I would include him. I think those are the 3 albums. Like I said, I've made my statement, and I'm not necessarily gonna backtrack. The 3 albums,
You're probably
and they're
not wrong, but-
two of them are double albums. So that's technically
Yeah, 30
5
tracks,
albums
yeah.
worth of. I wouldn't say top elite. It's not like
It's
All
not.
Eyes on Me isn't a blueprint.
No, it's not.
No.
But in terms of for what it was worth and its impact at the time,
Yeah.
and it's an album that we could take. Like, if you look at it, Illmatic is a super produced album.
It is.
All Eyes on Me is a super produced album.
Yeah.
So as a result, the production value of the album for me
resonates more,
is
especially all these years later.
is boosted.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend too much more time on that, but again, his output as well in terms of his.
That I can give you. Tupac clearly rapped his ass off for the very few years he was here on this earth, like continuously.
And he
Over
garnered so
500
much,
songs.
not just positive emotions. He garnered so much negative emotions from people.
He's a
Like,
very
a lot of people
compelling
hated him.
character.
He's a very polarizing
Like you
character.
did that. He did that all on his own.
I'm gonna put AZ in my top 10
Do you know what? AZ was actually supposed to be on my list. I brought him up yesterday. I forgot to put it on
for
this.
Nas to rap at the very high level that he did early on,
AZ
and
had to challenge him.
I wouldn't separate the two in terms of
I
ability
1,000% agree with you on that.
that I wouldn't really
I
separate
actually
them.
1,000% agree with you.
Obviously Nas garnered the more critical acclaim.
Also, Nas, as much as Nas's musical output can be questioned, AZ's was even worse.
But as a share, like again,
Rapper, rapping, yes.
and Do or Die for me is a classic
Yeah,
album.
that's sick.
Absolutely.
I have Ghost in my top 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ghost for me, like, in terms of out of all the members of the Wu-Tang, he's probably the go-to in terms of musically, stylistically, and obviously lyrical wise. In terms of he's the most versatile.
Yeah.
Like Meth was supposed to be the guy,
Meth was the poster child for
but he
all.
didn't follow
And I
up.
He
still
didn't
feel
meet
like
expectations.
people place Meth there as if Ghost hasn't.
They do.
existed.
Meth
I don't
is,
really
Meth is
believe
still the
in
guy.
And the
for a
thing,
lot of
and
people.
I'm saying this as somebody who loves
Meth.
Meth.
Meth is
I
still good.
Love Meth.
Meth is still a top 20 MC.
Yeah, definitely
The
top
fact that
20.
people overlook Ghost and even Ray to then call
To
out
put Meth.
Meth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what put Meth ahead though? Meth is in a very small category of rappers whose voices
Yeah. His cadence is
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
provide them to, they push them to a certain point without counting lyrics and stuff.
Yeah.
So people like Meth and Q-Tip, and I can't include Ghost in it because Ghost has the lyrics to back it up, but if you're talking about later rappers, someone like Action Bronson, who took on a lot of what Ghost did,
has done.
a lot of those people that have such unique voices and styles that they took them, like Busta.
Kendrick has a
Busta.
unique voice.
Kendrick has a unique voice, but the thing with Kendrick that
He fits into the M category for me.
yeah, he does have a unique voice, but he changes his voice so much.
But to a point where I thought, when I first heard him, I thought he's from a different country. I was like, oh, is he Haitian? And he's just been living in LA. That's exactly
Haitian
what I
Kendrick.
thought.
I'm gonna put Big Daddy Kane in my top 10.
I knew he was going to be in yours all day.
Do you know what it is for me? Is that Ash touched on it earlier in terms of those seminal artists that kind of transcend two different
This is
eras.
your best, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms
I hear
of,
that.
you would put Rakim as the guy that introduced different rhyme scheme, but in terms of me, I listen to a lot of Rakim and I've listened to a lot of Big
I've
Daddy
listened
Kane.
to it
In
too,
terms of,
but it's just
I
not.
feel that the way that the likes of Jay-Z, Big, Nas, it all comes from Big that like Kane was very like in terms of his delivery and his use of metaphors. Remember, rap never really used.
Yeah, but Rakim did it too.
I
what you're
prefer
saying
Rakim
is
over
right,
Kane.
but I would personally
Prefer Rakim.
liken Jigga
Rakim's
more
in
to
my
Kane
top.
and then Nas to Rakim, which is where, if you don't know, the term Nas Godson came from Rakim
From
was
Rakim,
said as the
yeah.
rap god, so
Yeah.
he was God, so Nas was Godson.
Yeah, they're two different. they're two different.
They're
like,
two different, but yes, I would agree in the sense.
But
of
I wouldn't argue
what
with
Kane
you
did.
putting it on the best.
And I feel personally, Rakim didn't age well.
Yeah, he did. He
As
didn't.
well as Kane.
As well as because
Alright.
Kane was done by 95.
That's what I was
Kane
going to
was
say.
done, but Rakim was done by 92.
Worst thing is, by now, if there's a Kane feature, I'll listen to it because he's got a lot of the backpack type features over the years where he still spit a hard verse. Maybe it wasn't
On
as
Big L's album, Platinum Plus. For me,
that verse alone.
just to kind of wrap up my list, I think I've got 2 more. Scarface is on my list.
I could see. I wouldn't go for it myself, but I understand. I can't argue with Scarface being it. Like,
I wouldn't. I didn't listen to
from the
him.
As a South rapper, to put yourself in amongst the likes of Jigga and not like every stack he
Not
worked
watered down, innit?
he worked a lot with like a lot of prominent artists. So he worked with Park, he worked with Jay, but at no point he didn't come short in terms of the general conception of South artists at the time where that they weren't lyrical.
Yeah, it was trash.
And he was the best of that because Master P, I love Master P for what
he's
he
not
stands
lyrical.
for as a figure in
no,
hip hop,
he's not.
but
no
he
limit
wasn't
was not
lyrical.
lyrical. Full stop.
So
What about UK? Oh,
I look
UK.
at Bun B, Scarface, and obviously Andre 3000 were probably the better rappers from that era,
Easily.
from the South.
Easily.
yeah,
And
Andre.
Scarface had the bodies of work to support that.
Yeah.
The Fix, even the work with the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
And consistently over the years since, because obviously he's come out the limelight somewhat, but he still produces high quality music.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like a complete album from top to bottom, you can see he
Scarface
still has
like
something
a
to
stamp of
offer.
approval. There's one verse for me that sticks out when you say it, which again is another favourite album. Gangstar, Moment of Truth, that album.
Yeah.
Betrayal,
Yeah.
of Scarface. That's like the way he raps on that. When you're talking about conveying emotion, lyrics, how they make you feel. Scarface, well, yeah, he would be up there.
Number 10 was kind of, I toed and froed over it, yeah. But I think, do you know what it was that made me appreciate Cube a little bit more than Snoop? Was the fact, again, we don't necessarily always give the forefathers the respect in terms of like it's easy to dismiss them because we didn't live it. So when I went back and I listened, and then obviously that was around the time that the NWA kick through, it made a lot more sense to me in terms of like early on, like it was like today was like it was a good day. One of my favorite songs period in life.
Yeah.
So to me,
especially the
Cube
sample for me,
probably would just edge out, say like, and I have like a lot of honourable mentions, which I'm not going to get to my favourites, but I'll say my honourable mentions. Cube probably just edges Snoop in terms of Snoop didn't have longevity. Snoop's trajectory was like literally here today, gone tomorrow. In terms of he stayed throughout the course.
he stayed relevant, but he hasn't produced good albums.
music. So for me, like, and I rate Snoop highly in terms of his versatility and his ability to freestyle, and just him overall as a rapper from the West Coast, being able to bring something different to the table in terms of the G-Funk era and the style in which he's very laid back. And like I
Doggy
said,
Style was another classic album.
Doggy Style for me is a top 5 hip hop album for me personally. But his journey, I just wouldn't feel comfortable putting him in my top 10.
No.
I have a few honourable mentions.
He's definitely honourable.
Common is an honourable mention of mine.
Yeah.
Raekwon's an honourable mention of mine.
Yeah.
I know this is gonna piss a lot of people off, but Big L is a lot of an honourable mention of mine. And Pun, which no one has really talked about today.
But that's the thing. What I said when I brought it up on a quick thing, and I was like, okay, let me just go through it.
I thought about him yesterday,
Pun, listen, if L can be, and even Biggie to an extent, if they can be honourable mentions or in a list, Pun's got to be there too.
Definitely.
Because Pun, like, do you know what? Even if you just count Deep Cover for how technically he raps that,
technically, I don't think you could name, let's say from that era, technically he was the best out of, you look at Big, you look at Jay, you look at Nas, technically what we're talking about an MC, what it
Yeah.
I think technically you would struggle to name 5 better than
Pun.
Better than Pun.
Yeah,
Technically.
Pun
Definitely.
is right.
He does. He definitely deserves to be honourable
and
mention.
Capital Punishment is a dope album.
It's a dope album again, and very, very underrated MC generally for me.
And I think that his music aged well as well, whereas a lot of artists,
Yes,
his
that's
music has
the
aged
thing.
well.
So like,
That's the key thing.
I would never put him in my top 10, but I love Noriega, innit?
Yeah,
but
I was
a
about
lot
to
of
mention him,
Noriega's
Capone and
music has not aged well. I think.
and you guys know that I'm a Nori fan.
Like, the
but it
NORE
hasn't.
album is a sick album.
Yeah.
But when you go forward and you're like Melvin Flint, the Hustler, and all, some
He
of
fell
it
off
is
the cliff, bro.
Trash.
Don't you think Dipset has aged well?
Dipset, I think, weren't that long ago though, so it's a different. We're
Still
talking,
90s though.
We're talking.
late
Nah, Dipset
90s,
was
early
2000s. Early 2000s.
Didn't someone come out in like 99 though?
Cam was.
That's who I mean by
you know, Cam's a-
that group of
But
people.
then-
Cam was probably an
It's
honourable
still
mention
not,
for some.
when you think of it in time span, like when we're speaking of aging well, I don't think it's too
It's
too
not far
long
removed.
for it to not have aged well.
And
So you mean
also-
like early 90s
Yeah.
stuff
And
have
plus,
aged well?
Cam
Okay, cool.
actually
Stayed.
changed his style and
Up into
stayed
2000s.
throughout the years.
Do you know what? When I
But
was
also think
listening,
that that's why we can say that M's music hasn't aged well, because it's not that
good.
old
Yeah.
And
for us to be looking
all
back
right,
at
no,
it
you're right.
and
No, I
say,
agree with you lot. I agree.
what the hell? Yeah.
Because when I mentioned in Dipset, I was thinking of Cam.
conversation on
And
Everyday Struggle
everyone.
about Cam. Like, for me, that brought so many different thoughts into my head, because it's like, I love Cameron. Cameron, when you're saying favourite
Cam is
MCs,
sick.
Cameron's in my top 10 favourite
Yeah,
MCs.
yeah, yeah.
Joe Budden, Cam, AZ, Raekwon, and Jay are my top 5 MCs.
Yeah.
Can
In
I
no
say
particular
something?
order.
I was listening to Ghost, right, when I was trying to pick my top 10. I was listening, like, trying to revive my memory. And I was listening to Ghost, and I couldn't help but hear Cam.
I don't.
I could not help but hear
You know
Cam.
what it was,
The only
yeah?
element I can see.
And yes, Cam's flow is a bit different, but there are
different.
certain things that Ghost was saying. I was like, oh,
the only
You'd
way.
have to play me songs so I listen.
okay.
the only-
I'll have to get back
The
to
only
you.
way I would see it is,
I could hear
is like
Cam.
the randomness in the fact that a lot of what Cam says,
It's
especially
very
later
off the
on,
kill.
it's just like, huh? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't really
Whatever it was, whenever I was listening to the song, I was like, oh, this reminds me of Cam. Like, I just thought of Cam.
Having said that,
I have to get it. I have to get it out.
Cam has a top quotable. Well, he has numerous top quotable verses, but I think something we should get into, like another point, another episode, is some of these people's verses. Yeah, we probably got like another extra 5 after, but Fantastic Four. I can't remember if it's part 1 or part 2.
We do
Part
need to
two.
we do need to speak about it.
All of the mixtape era. So this was off DJ Clue's The Professional
Slaves,
mixtape.
whips and chains, it's
Yeah.
tradition. All I got is whips
Whips and chains. Like
Yeah.
Cam, there's a lot of people that have some ridiculous verses from back
Cannabis.
then. Like Cannabis on them, and even the Pussy Cuts from back then. So when you're talking about Bam from TV, the John Blaze remix,
Can we
Fantastic
please
Four.
give Wu-Tang their proper respect in terms of
Triumph.
Triumph?
Triumph.
Please,
But
please.
I'm gonna
Put some respect on the Wu.
I'm gonna put one thing to do Triumph though, is that not every verse is good on Triumph.
No, there's only one that matters.
Inspector
There's
Don't
Deck,
look like it hurt you
Rebel
to say.
Lioness. It did hurt me
There's
to say
only
it.
one verse that matters on that song. I don't care about the rest of the song. For me, that's one of the best displays of lyricism ever in the history of rap music.
He's never been able to carry him tracks by himself.
No,
whenever. But he's probably got. I can think of
6.
3,
I can
but
think
I
of
know
6.
he's got. I know he's got 5 or 6, but I can think of 3 off the top of my head of some of the hardest features ever.
Features wise, Inspector Deck is
like
Can
he
we
did-
also put some respect on Capadonna on Winter Wars as well?
Yeah,
One of the
Capadonna
best
was hard on
verses
Winter
ever.
Wars, but a lot of the others-
No, I don't rate Capadonna highly, but his verse on Winter Wars was phenomenal. But yeah, that's a whole. I could sit here and talk about that shit forever because that's when we really get into.
You're a big proponent for Wu. I
Yeah.
know that. Like, I'm not. I won't fight as hard for Wu, but certain characters.
No.
Certain characters within Wu Tang. Yes.
even
Well, that's what I
from
said,
Wu
they
projects,
produced
not
some good
necessarily
artists.
Like Wu
Wu
artists,
deserves-
Nas on Verbal Intercourse.
Verbal intercourse. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm done.
Do you know what?
What time is it?
Even though we ain't got much time left, it's probably not going to be on time
so
anyway.
are we doing what we said we were gonna?
I don't think we're going to rank a top 10 out of that.
No, not that bit. As in,
the UK people.
no, not that.
Oh,
what,
what?
the musical genius bit?
Are we doing what we said we were gonna do?
We can play. I think we've got about 5-10 minutes left.
Wait, so what are we? Did we decide if we're gonna do Nas or the UK people?
We're doing Nas today. Then
We're doing
we're
Nas.
going to introduce a new segment moving forward. but
Okay.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
guys
we need to
wanna-
name
We're
it
not
first.
there yet. We're
not
not
there
there
just yet. No, I said it was too early.
I need to go to the toilet.
So,
You guys run through your Nas,
Well, Shakira won again anyway, so
what, did I come third?
no one.
You weren't. You guys actually
we weren't here in the last episode.
because you guys didn't give us.
Oh, the last. Oh, sorry. You know what? I'm still on the last episode I was on.
Yeah, you guys weren't thing. So Ash, you can. This was your pick. You can introduce
Alright,
the
so-
musical genius.
Musical genius this week is Nas. We'll keep it brief, but I know Shakira's up there with me, and even Riz seemingly by his top 3. That Nas is up there for me, one of my favorite rappers.
Me too. I agree.
Glad to hear. Cool. Yeah, that Nas is right up there. Lyrically, presentation wise, cadence, flow, technique, anything you want to talk about in a rapper, Nas has it all and has displayed it at times over the years. There's a lot of things about his character or some of his musical output that people will question, but for me, Nas is always going to be in the elite rappers and one of my favorite rappers. So that's my little intro.
Cool.
You can pick now.
So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was not prepared for this episode.
Don't need to be prepared.
As we were coming
for
up,
Nas.
I didn't really know what tune I was gonna pick. But what I'm gonna do is,
Don't you dare pick what I'm picking.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
I'm
will
not,
happily pick
I'm
last
not
because no one's
picking-
going to pick what I'm picking.
I'm not picking what I think is a favorite. Is
Nah, I'm not gonna
a
take the
popular. Oh, we're not doing it.
No, as in not playing it. I don't know. I know you was on Columbia for last.
Of the audio and then put it for the
Ah,
visual.
yeah, cool. Yeah,
I
you
was
can play
thinking
it
we
then, you
should.
can play it.
So I was sat coming up here
Might
with
get
Riz,
muted on YouTube. But
and I was thinking, I don't know. But one of my favourite songs from Nas is Undying Love on the I Am album.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just there for the whole process of the song. Why are you breathing in and out like that?
I'm just thinking of Nas's catalogue and then.
Why that's one of my favourite.
No, not that it's one of your favourite, but that's the song you would pick.
Oh,
Undying Love, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So
I've got 2 picks in my head, but yeah.
So do I.
it's not a prominent song. It's not a song that I'd say people necessarily would pick, but it reminds me of
story,
my
does.
youth.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking about storytelling, like that was one of my favourites growing up.
Neon lights, gamblers, puffers and guards, couples and stars, flashing cameras, dealers, shuffling cards, spent the weekend, already miss New York and it's odd, he's on the
But yeah,
voice
so
is
I'm
just
not
I never hang out when we do.
I'm not going for the obvious win this week, guys.
I'm gonna give you a chance.
I'm not going for the obvious win this week, so nobody can be mad at me. No one can accuse me of cheating. This is definitely not a cheat song.
No, it's not a cheat song.
It's just a favourite.
There's plenty of
I wouldn't
Nas
say that
cheat songs.
it's even his best song, but it's one of my
Of course
personal.
not, but no,
It's one of my personal favourites.
Nah, you lot think I've been going B-side before. I'm going left when I pick.
Go on.
Or is it my pick already?
Yeah, we don't have that much time, so.
Alright. I'm gonna go for, because I'm not gonna cheat, I'm gonna go for Nas' Second Childhood off of Stillmatic.
Hey!
Premiere produced, one of the only premiere produced tracks from Nas in the 2000s, apart from the
Have you
classic
got yours,
remix.
Gabs?
This for me, like everything about it, the way he rapped, the way he chopped up Peebo Bryson to make the beat, like love this song. I could have easily picked Nas's Like, or
I toyed with doing a bait tune.
before, and I said would explore career rap.
This group is cute.
Turn up a bit, Riz.
I glued to the tube was a long time ago. John Boy Ice, Geronimo, Police jumping out Chrysler's, easy by the paper. Pops puffing his chest, punching his chest like a gorilla. Outside with psychos, killers, so divine goon and jungle. Little turkey, R.I.P. Tyrone. Remember no curse in front of Miss Mercy. Big Percy, crazy Paul, sled sisters. My builder was 4016, what's in the blue? Always was clean, I knew all that I seen that meant something. Learned early to fear minds, little Nas was funny. Living carefree, laughing, got jokes in the daily. I acting like some old folks, y'all don't hit me.
Yo, my second child. Plus, it's a relevant topic. A lot of dudes are in their second childhood.
Mad.
Yeah.
Gabby.
It's
Miss Naz.
I was
Mrs. Naz.
my boo. I'm glad you know, honey. Yes, I was stuck between two.
It's not mine.
It was an obvious one, and there's a not so obvious one. The obvious one is it ain't hard to tell, but I'm going for represent.
Hey.
Because I love the beat, and he's a bit sassy on that as well. He's a bit sassy on that one.
See, that's the thing. I could have easily put "Ain't hard to tell." The world is yours.
Yeah, I could have done all of that, but I thought, let me just. Hey. And Fab sampled this as well.
Yeah, Fab bodied it when he sampled. It's funny how much of Illmatic sounds like so much of the Mobb Deep shit.
Yes. Anyway, ciao. Just New York in general. I just love it.
What's your pick, Chris?
Represent.
If Riz chooses what I think he's going to choose,
a few.
I know what he's
then
going to
it's,
choose.
I don't know what he's gonna choose.
it's not a Nas tune, so I feel like I know what it is.
What I think
And it was the
It's
tune
gonna
that
be
I
a
was going to choose
feature.
as well.
I've got an idea, but I'm not gonna say it just in case he picks it.
Because I do have my feelings on Nas as a musical genius.
Let's not talk about that.
You know, we've got a full debate to have on Nas on another episode.
I think
but
that's a debate we actually
started-
need to have on the term musical genius too, to be honest.
We started late with it, but yeah, this episode, but another time we're gonna do it.
I'm picking a John B joint featuring Nas.
Oh, this is not where I thought you were going.
I didn't think you were going here.
I thought you were going for a Woo track, to be honest with you.
I thought he was gonna go Body in the Trunk with Nori.
No, man, do you know what it is, yeah? I think this is where Nas kind of missed the trick in terms of...
He didn't take advantage
He
of
didn't
this.
take advantage.
Nah.
Like, Nas technically is a sex symbol, innit? Whether or not I'd like...
Nas is a real sniper, you know.
Don't say sex and Nas in the same sentence now.
When we talk about aging well, his face. His
So
face.
I think this is something that we should have seen more from Nas over the years.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you for that.
You don't need to fast forward it that much. You only got the first verse.
I wanted to get to the voice, the verse.
Can I just say, Riz set this bit up, yeah? So that he played dead parts of our tune, yeah, and then went to the main part of his tune. Cool.
Don't lie to me about monogamy.
I love that.
If I'm locked up, I'm out in the field. Keep it tight when I'm in it.
How does it feel?
Number 2, easy to do.
Be who you are.
Be with me, a real G with every beat in your heart. And number 3, last but not least,
Give me peace.
and I show you the world. Most girls ain't lucky to see. Jump in.
Great album, by the way. John B.
Yeah. I think Nas should have definitely capitalized more.
Do you know what? He's got a lot of R&B verses, but a lot of them aren't that good. Like Kiss has the better R&B verses by far. Wayne has better R&B verses, etc., etc.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of today's show.
Yeah,
I'm not even talking in the mic, but yeah.
that's the end of episode 10, guys.
So thanks for listening, guys. Please use the hashtag, Beats Rhymes Life Pod. Let us know who your favourite 10 MCs are dead or alive, and also who you consider the best MCs. We didn't get into that too much today because, like Riz said, there was some miscommunication. But yeah, let us know. I'm sure you're going to slaughter us for some of our choices and some of the people that we left off. So let us know. Also, let us know who you would have what song of Nas's you would have chosen, or what musical geniuses you feel that we should honour. There are some people Riz and I were talking about today that we should have honoured long before now, and we will get to.
I've got a few.
So yeah, thanks for listening. Peace, love, and pom pom, guys.